Bill, do you feel like your guys benefited from kind of going into a game against a lot of unknown, not really a lot of familiarity with the opposition? And is that a good test for these guys to go out and kind of
Well, I think,
assess?
like I said last night, I thought it was great from at least the first three games. We faced a lot of different things, which was good. I thought the team yesterday, Australia, was by far more aggressive, than the other teams. They were very, very physical. We got to the free throw line, I think 31 times in the game. We probably could have gotten there more. So those are things that we'll have to learn how to play through. The New Orleans game, we had a chance to play against obviously two conventional big guys in Davis and Cousins, and then we played against Houston, where there's space on the floor and shooting threes. So the first three games we've gotten a chance to experience some different things, and I thought a couple things. I thought one, we did not shoot the ball particularly well. I thought we actually had really, really good looks in a lot of cases. The ball didn't go in the basket, but I think it was also a good message for our guys, the fact that we're going to need to play defense regardless of the offensive talent on the team, in order to become a really good team.
Anything you can tell us about Raymond, Patrick, Alex?
I'll probably find Alex did more today. I think they want to evaluate to see, where he's at for tomorrow. Patrick's out tomorrow, and Raymond is out tomorrow.
Did Alex do contact stuff?
He did some, yeah, he did some. We did some at the end, with some guys that had some low minutes coming out of yesterday's game just to get them playing and working on our system offensively and defensively. So he was out there for some of that.
And with Raymond, it's still sprained left wrist.
Mm-hmm.
That's not.
Yes.
Do you know a timetable or just out?
I don't. I think they're going to probably, I think the biggest thing with sprains, are the potential of landing on it or re-injuring it and then having it be prolonged. So I would imagine that they'll evaluate his progress day to day and see where he gets to a place where they feel comfortable that he's not in harm's way.
You've talked about the importance of these days you're going to have after this is over, but just from a rotation standpoint, a kind of figuring out your team standpoint, what's the challenge of having not really had those guys, not had Alex at all, not had Patrick?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a different training camp for a couple reasons. One is the having the preseason games in the middle of the training camp, and some time on the front end, and then time obviously on the back end. I think the other part of that too is we've had limited amount of practice with Russell. We've had no real practice with Alex and Patrick. Raymond's out now. So we've dealt with different things, but you try to go forward with the guys that you have. And I think I said yesterday, I think as long as there's a communication going on between Russell and Paul and Patrick and Alex and the team for the guys that are out and keeping guys on the same page, that's the most important part.
Clearly Russell plays at a different pace than most guys. How important was it to get him more minutes last night and tomorrow night in order for guys like Paul and Carmelo just to get used to the style and the pace he plays with?
Yeah, I think all those guys playing together, getting to know each other is important. I think certainly for Russell, as fast as he is coming up and down the floor with the ball, those guys getting out and getting ahead. Russell found a couple guys for some threes, which was good. But I think the more that they play with each other, the more they'll get comfortable in working with one another.
Billy, you weren't necessarily in the NBA yet when the trend of flocking to the three-point line on the break started to happen. At what point did you notice that you were obviously watching NBA basketball from more of a distance? At what point did you notice that start to become like a real principle of fast break basketball in the NBA?
I don't know when that became a principle. When I was playing in college in 1987, when the three-point line came in, we never ran into the lane. We ran always behind the line. So I've always coached like that, even in college. In transition, we've always run to the line. The game's evolved in the NBA. It's certainly the number of threes that have gone up from maybe 10 years ago. But to say like, okay, wow, I really noticed that the floor is being spaced now and they're really taking advantage of the three-point line, I probably couldn't say that. But I think playing for Coach Pitino in college, he was the one that really, really maximized the three-point line. And I think having a chance to play in that and understand the importance of it, and then also being in college with him, coaching and understanding that. So for me, it's been something that I've been a part of since I was like 19 years old, 20 years old. So it's just always been part of me, but I don't know when I would tell you the NBA's really started to take advantage of that.
You took like 7 threes a game or something your senior year. Like what is in the 1980s? Like what's the reaction to that you're getting from people?
Well, it was really interesting. just because I think when the rule came in, you had some very, very prominent coaches in college that were in college for a long time that I think declared that it was going to ruin the game. And a lot of coaches said, we're not taking three-point shots. It's a terrible shot. You had coaches still taking all these non-paint twos. And I think Coach Pitino, because of his background with the Knicks and being in the NBA and understanding the value of the three-point line, we ended up playing a Russian team in the preseason. And we were trying to take between 20 and 25 threes a game, which was a lot because there was so I mean, to think of this, we went through our first 6 Big East games with the three-point line, and we didn't give up a three-point shot. The team didn't make one against us in 6 straight regular season games. We played against the Russians in preseason, and they took like 35. And then from that point, it was like, okay, we're taking more. So to be honest with you, it was really, really easy back then to get them because everybody still was run back into the paint, protect the basket. We just kept throwing the ball back out, shooting threes, throwing the ball back out, shooting threes. And in the NCAA tournament, where it's not a series, you can have a team with inferior talent beat a team with superior talent because of the line. And to me, it's always been like take football. Like, okay, if you get a passing touchdown, you get 8 points. If you get like a running touchdown, you only get 6. Well, people are going to be throwing the ball more, and especially the three-point line in college was a great equalizer. So for us, we just did that, but it came easy for us. Teams were like, go ahead, take as many as you want. We just kept throwing them up there. That's what we did.
You've faced a few other challenges already. What's Denver going to do that might be different tomorrow?
Well, I mean, they've added some really, really good pieces, and they had some injuries last year as well. I thought, to close out last season, certainly maybe the last few months of the season, they were maybe the best offensive team, or one of the best offensive teams in the league, just by the numbers. Passing bigs, the ability to play small, adding Millsap now, really, really makes them a different kind of team. So this will be another great test for us tomorrow.
Does the gap you have after this, does that make you more likely to go a little more regular season type rotation tomorrow, minutes-wise for guys, or do you want to still balance it?
I'm going to see probably tomorrow at shoot-around just to talk to those guys a little bit more. Want them to feel comfortable, stretching them out. I would think that some of those guys would want to do that, but that would be something we would probably try to do, is stretch out more minutes, to your points, the last one before we get this break and open up on the 19th. So I think getting into a game flow or game minutes would be important, but also want to find out medically and health-wise where all those guys are at and how they're doing.
What improvement would you like to see in this last preseason game from the first 3?
Well, I think we're still getting to know each other. I think hopefully that will help. If there were specifics, I think we got to do a better job of taking care of the basketball. I think we've turned the ball over too much. We were a little bit better last game than we were the first 2. I actually thought offensively, although we didn't shoot the ball particularly well, I thought we got some pretty good looks. I think getting Russell back for extended minutes against the Australian team was good, that we had a chance to play. I think the familiarity between those guys is good. I think the things we focused on defensively in terms of like trying to protect the deep paint and keep people off the foul line, we've turned people over by using our length, so trying to continually build out on that. I just still feel like we're still a work in progress of trying to create and establish an identity on both ends of the floor.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you guys.